You ever get the feeling that you're just there? Like, you exist in a space, but nobody really sees you? That's how it had always been with my family. I wasn't the golden child, wasn't the troublemaker. Just the one in between, the one who did what was expected but never quite enough. It started small. Little things. My parents forgetting to save me a plate at dinner. My brother taking my things without asking, knowing no one would care when I complained. They never outright said I wasn't wanted, at least, not at first. But it was always there, in the way they talked around me, in the way my existence seemed to be an afterthought. I tried to brush it off. Families weren't perfect, right? Maybe I was just being sensitive. Maybe if I worked harder, did better, they'd finally see me as someone worth keeping around, so I tried. Hard. I made sure my grades were solid. I helped out around the house. I stayed out of trouble, but it never seemed to matter. My brother, though, he could do whatever he wanted. Talk back, skip chores, fail a class, didn't matter. My parents would make excuses for him. He's just a kid. He's going through a tough time. You should be more supportive of him. Every time I pointed out the difference in how we were treated, I was the problem. I was being difficult. And then, one day, the resentment boiled over. But not from me, from them. It was a Saturday night. I had just gotten home from work. Nothing special, just a part-time job at a local grocery store. I worked weekends to save up some money since my parents never really gave me much. My brother, on the other hand, didn't have to lift a finger. Anything he wanted, he got. I walked into the house, exhausted, and the first thing I saw was him sitting on the couch, controller in hand, completely zoned into his game. A half-eaten plate of food sat on the table, and on the floor, my backpack. Open. My notebooks and papers scattered across the rug. Dude, what the hell? I sighed, bending down to pick up my stuff. Oh yeah, he muttered, not even looking away from the screen. Needed paper. Took some. I flipped through my notebook, stomach sinking. My notes, the ones I had spent hours on, were gone. Torn out, I clenched my jaw. Are you serious? Finally, he looked at me. Relax. It's just some dumb notes. Not like you do anything important anyway. That hit harder than it should have. Maybe because deep down, I knew that's how he really saw me. How they all saw me. Where are they? I asked, my voice tight, but he scoffed. Dunno. Probably in the trash. I don't know what it was about that moment, but something inside me snapped. Not in an angry, screaming way. Just a cold, quiet realization I wasn't one of them. Not really. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. You're unbelievable, I muttered, walking past him toward the kitchen. That's when my parents walked in, and that's when everything went downhill. My mom and dad walked in, laughing about something, some inside joke between them, something I was never part of. But the moment they saw me standing there, the mood shifted. What's with the attitude? My dad asked, eyes narrowing. I exhaled sharply, still gripping my ruined notebook. Ask him, I said, nodding toward my brother. He tore out my notes, just threw them away like they were nothing. My mom barely glanced at him. It's just paper, she said, waving a dismissive hand. I looked between them, waiting for something. Even just a that wasn't cool, or don't do that again. But nothing. Instead, my brother smirked. Yeah, it's just paper, he echoed. Like he knew he'd already won. I felt my fingers tighten around the notebook. Right. Of course. I turned to go upstairs, but my dad's voice stopped me. You know, this attitude is exactly why no one wants to be around you. I froze. What? I asked, turning slowly down why Mom sighed like she was tired of me already. You overreact to everything. Always playing the victim, always causing problems. Causing problems? I let out a bitter laugh. For what? Expecting basic respect? For not wanting my stuff trashed? My brother snorted. God, you're so dramatic. I shook my head. You guys act like I'm the issue, but you don't even see what's happening. You just let him do whatever he wants. Dad folded his arms. Because he's not the one constantly whining. That hit hard. But not as hard as what came next. My brother leaned back on the couch, arms stretched behind his head, and smirked. No one wants you here, man. I felt my stomach drop, but it was my parents' reaction that broke something in me, They nodded. They actually nodded, why Mom didn't say a word. My dad didn't argue. They just stood there, silent, as if that was a fact they had accepted a long time ago. I didn't yell. I didn't beg for them to take it back, that I just breathed. And something inside me went cold. Okay, I said simply, and I walked upstairs to pack my bags. And I left. But this wasn't the end. Not even close. Because the next morning, my phone was blowing up with 12 missed calls. And that's when I knew leaving was the best decision I had ever made. I didn't answer the calls. Not at first. I just stared at my phone, watching as the notifications kept piling up. My brother, my dad, even my mom. For a family that didn't want me, they sure were desperate to reach me now. I let it ring. I wasn't in a rush. After leaving last night, I didn't even have a plan. I had thrown my things into a duffel bag and walked out, feeling numb. I crashed at a friend's place, someone who actually gave a damn about me. He didn't ask questions, didn't push, just handed me a blanket, said, "You can stay as long as you need." It was more kindness than my own family had shown me in years. But now they wanted something. And I had a feeling it wasn't because they missed me. By the time the calls finally stopped, a few texts started rolling in. The first ones were just as I expected. Mom texted, "You're being immature. Come back." Dad texted, "Enough of this nonsense. You need to stop acting like a child." I scoffed. Yeah, I really left. And they clearly weren't sorry. Then, a new message came in, one that changed everything. Mom texted, "Come home now. We have a problem." I stared at the screen, my pulse picking up. "A problem?" I debated ignoring it. But curiosity got the best of me, so I finally texted back. Just 2 words, "What happened?" Her reply came almost instantly. "Your brother screwed up. Bad." And just like that, I knew. They didn't miss me. They didn't want me back. They needed me. And that gave me an idea. I leaned back against the couch, staring at my phone. So now they needed me? Interesting, I wasn't in a hurry to respond. Instead, I let them sweat a little. If my brother had really screwed up, then whatever happened was big enough that my parents, who had never once taken my side, were now reaching out. After about 10 minutes of silence, more messages started rolling in. Dad texted, "We don't have time for your attitude. Just come home." Mom texted, "Please. This is serious." Serious? That almost made me laugh. When my problems were serious, they told me to get over it. But now that my brother was in trouble, suddenly it was urgent. I took my time typing my next response. "Not my problem." A minute passed. Then another. Then my dad called. I let it ring. Declined. A second later, a text popped up. "Dad, you're being selfish." I exhaled sharply through my nose. Selfish? That was rich, coming from him. Then my mom texted again. "Mom, your brother's been arrested." I blinked. Okay. Now I was interested. I grabbed my friend's car keys off the counter. "I need a ride." He raised an eyebrow. "You sure? Thought you were done with them." I smirked. "Oh, I am. But I need to see this for myself." 15 minutes later, I pulled up in front of my house. My dad was pacing on the porch, phone in hand, looking more stressed than I'd ever seen him. My mom sat on the steps, head in her hands. For once, there was no laughter, no dismissive remarks, just pure, panicked silence. I took my time walking up. "So," I said casually, "who wants to tell me what happened?" My dad turned, eyes sharp. "Where the hell have you been?" I raised an eyebrow. "Not here. Like you wanted." He clenched his jaw, but before he could say anything, my mom spoke. "It's your brother," she said, voice shaking. He stole something. From the wrong people." I frowned. "The wrong people?" Dad ran a hand over his face. "Some guys at that arcade he hangs out at. We don't know the details, but they called the cops. He's in holding right now." I almost laughed. Of course. My brother had spent years treating me like garbage, thinking he was untouchable. And now, the real world had hit him like a truck. That I crossed my arms. "And what do you want me to do about it?" Mom gave me a desperate look. "We need money for a lawyer. Bail. Something. We need your help." I stared at her for a long moment. Then, finally, I smiled. They needed me, but I didn't need them. After all the years of pushing me aside, of treating me like I was nothing, now they were looking at me like I was their only hope. And in a way, I tucked my hands into my pockets, tilting my head slightly. So let me get this straight. You told me I was unwanted. You let my brother treat me like garbage. You didn't care when I walked out. But now that he's in trouble, you suddenly remember I exist? My dad's jaw tightened. This isn't about that. This is about family. I laughed. A short, sharp sound. Oh, now we're family? That's funny, because last night, I was a burden. Mom's eyes were pleading. Please, we can talk about all of that later. Right now, we need to get him out before this gets worse. I let out a slow breath, pretending to think it over. And how much money are we talking about? Dad sighed. Bail is set at $10,000. We can pay a portion, but we need you to cover the rest. I whistled. 10 grand, huh? Sounds serious. My mom perked up slightly. So you'll do it? I smirked. Oh, absolutely not. Their faces fell so fast, I almost felt bad. Almost, excuse me, my dad snapped. I shrugged. Not my problem. Mom's voice cracked. But he's your brother. No, he's your son, I corrected. And you made it very clear that I was never part of this family. Dad stepped forward, anger flashing in his eyes. You think you're proving a point? You think this is funny? I met his glare without flinching. No, I think it's fair. Mom reached for my arm. We'll pay you back. I took a step back. You think I trust you? The people who threw me away without a second thought. Her mouth opened and closed, but she had nothing to say. I shook my head. Here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna figure this out without me, just like you always wanted. And I'm gonna walk away, just like you told me to. I turned on my heel, making my way back to my friend's car. Behind me, my dad shouted, "Don't you dare walk away from us." I glanced over my shoulder. You already did it first. Then I got in the car and drove away, leaving them in the mess they created. As I drove away, my hands clenched around the steering wheel. I should have felt triumphant. I should have felt like I finally got the last laugh. But instead, I felt hollow. Not because I regretted my decision. No, they had it coming. But because after everything, even after they'd begged for my help, I knew they still didn't see me as family. They just saw me as a solution, a wallet, a safety net, and now that net was gone. That night, I sat in my apartment, scrolling through my phone while enjoying a nice, greasy burger from my favorite takeout place. It was peaceful, quiet, the kind of night I hadn't had in years living under that roof. I had half a mind to turn my phone on silent, but I couldn't resist checking my notifications. And, surprise, surprise, my family had not given up. Why Mom had sent 3 messages in a row. We can work something out. Please, let's talk. Your brother is still in jail. We're struggling to get the money together. Please, I know we were harsh before, but we're family. I nearly choked on my soda. Now we're family? Now they cared? That was rich. I was debating whether to even respond when another text popped up, this time from my dad. Look, we can repay you. You just need to trust us. That one actually made me laugh out loud. Trust them? The same people who spent years treating me like an unwanted guest in my own home? The same ones who told me to leave without a second thought? Yeah, right? Just as I was about to put my phone down, another message came in from my brother. Come on, man. You're really gonna let me rot in here? Oh, this was too good. After everything he put me through, all the times he pushed me around, made fun of me, called me useless, and now he wanted my help? I decided to have a little fun. You told me no one wanted me around. I'm just respecting your wishes, smiley face. Delivered. Read. No response. That I smiled to myself, stretched my arms behind my head, and took another bite of my burger. Life was good. The next morning, I woke up to a flood of messages. I groggily rubbed my eyes, unlocked my phone, and started scrolling through them. Apparently, things were getting rough for the family back home. We had to sell the TV and Dad's golf clubs. Your mother is furious with me. Hope you're happy. Please, we don't know what to do anymore. And then, the best one yet, my brother. I swear to God, when I get out, you better pray I don't find you. Now that was hilarious. The same guy who needed my help was threatening me? I decided to respond. That's some strong language for someone who needs my help. Try again. An entire hour passed before my mom finally swallowed her pride and sent another message. Please, we're really struggling. I let her sit in that desperation for a few minutes before replying. Tell you what, I'll bail him out. On one condition. She didn't hesitate. Anything? I smirked. I want a public apology. In the family group chat. A long one. I want you all to admit every horrible thing you've said to me, and I want you to thank me for helping. I knew that would break my dad's pride. But if they wanted my help so badly, they'd have to grovel for it. Sure enough, it took them a while, but eventually, a new message popped up in the family group chat. We need to talk about how we've treated you. We've made mistakes, and we realize now how much we've hurt him. We deeply regret our words and actions. He is an important part of our family, and we are grateful for his generosity in helping us during this difficult time. It was stiff, it was forced, and it was completely humiliating for them. Perfect that I gave them a simple thumbs up emoji and went about my day. Did I actually bail my brother out? Haha, absolutely not. But at least I finally got the apology I always deserved. The following week, I got a call from my brother. Man, I can't believe you did this to me, he growled through the phone, his voice thick with frustration. I thought you were better than this. I couldn't help but laugh. It wasn't the kind of laugh that was filled with malice. More like the kind of laugh you get when the universe hands you exactly what you deserve. Better than what? I asked, my tone light, almost playful. I'm just giving you what you wanted. You told me I wasn't wanted, remember? So now you get to stay exactly where you belong. I could hear him slamming something against the jail bars in the background. You can't do this. You're really just leaving me here? I let the silence hang in the air for a moment before responding. You know, I thought I might bail you out. I really did. But you and the rest of the family? You've made it pretty clear that I don't matter. I paused, letting the words sink in. So now, I get to laugh. I get to enjoy my life knowing that I'm out here living it on my terms, while you're stuck. Enjoy your stay. He didn't say anything for a while, and I could almost picture him fuming on the other end, but I didn't care. After years of being treated like an afterthought, like some invisible shadow in the background, this was my moment. When I hung up the phone, I felt a wave of relief wash over me. I wasn't angry anymore. In fact, I couldn't even feel that resentment I used to carry around for them. All of it had melted away. And just like that, my brother stayed in jail. They tried everything to get him out, but the charges were serious enough that it was out of their hands. They begged and pleaded, but the truth was, they needed me far more than I ever needed them. As for me, I walked away, head high, knowing that I had finally reclaimed my power. I didn't need to lift a finger to make their lives miserable. They'd already done that for me. All I had to do was sit back, enjoy my peace, and know that they would never, ever see me the same way again. And every time I glanced at my phone, with its constant reminders of how desperate they were, I smiled. Because in the end, it wasn't just about the money. It was about the sweet, satisfying taste of revenge. And for the first time in a long time, I was finally living for me.
Honestly, this story is pretty satisfying. The protagonist was treated terribly by his family, but the way he flipped the script and didn't help his brother out after all that was brilliant. It's like the perfect revenge, and he didn't even have to do anything too drastic. Just let them deal with the consequences. What do you think? Was it the right call, or did he go too far? Would you have helped, or is this payback well deserved? Let me know what you think.